joke, I've been a money maker. I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing. Popping, lock, and stop and let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip-hop, it's like it stings. We make a whole room drop and everybody sing.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio, Comcast Cable Channel 23, 6 to 6:30, right here in Danbury, Connecticut. If you only knew what was going on behind the scenes, it's a miracle we're here live, but we are live. It is Thursday, August 30th. August is almost gone by. Labor Day weekend is nearing quickly, and summer is speeding by, which means that the pennant races are certainly speeding up as well, and things are getting out of control in baseball for sure. So we are going to get to that. We have a little bit of a skeleton crew going tonight. Usually my main man Bob Broad Jr. is behind the camera on microphone. We have him rigged through the headset microphone as he is in the control room running things by himself with a little help from Candy, our Comcast lady there, who does help us out from time to time, and we appreciate that. But Bob, I can hear you, Bob. How's it going in the control room? Going well? All right, well, Bob is there running things, and last time we saw Bob, we were talking about the Danbury Westerners making their run through the NECBL playoffs to the championship round. Unfortunately, they ran into a pitching dominant Newport team that shut them down in that championship, so they will have to wait another year to bring their first championship ever to Danbury, Hat City. The Westerners weren't able to do that. Of course, they did get the Western Conference Championship banner, another one that they add to the list. Their fourth, I believe. I know in 2010 they picked one up, and they were able to get that going in this year again. But they did not come up with the goods in the championship. It wasn't Heartbreak City like it was 2 years ago when they made it to the deciding third game, and they lost with the lead late in that game. This year they were shut down completely by a strong pitching performance pitching-led team, Newport there. They dominated them, 8-1, 7-1, I believe, were the two scores of the two games. So unfortunately they couldn't get it done there, and they fell to Newport in that series. But it was a great season again. They started off kind of slow this year, but they really picked up pace. They were the hottest team really in the second half of the season in the NECBL, coming up with dramatic wins, extra inning wins, walk-off wins. They played great at home this year. The fan support picked up as the season went on. It was a hot summer, but they gutted it out all the way through the season. And there we see some of those images of them in that loss to Newport right there in Danbury at Rogers Park. So it was a tough time for them, but you know, they did a great job. If any fans out there want to call in and talk about the Westerners, we're sure happy to take your call. 203-792-4101 is the number if you want to call and talk about the Westerners. We're going to get into Major League Baseball in a moment. Bob, are you there? Can you hear me, Bob? Do we have you mic'd up coming through the airwaves? Okay, so we can't use that. All right, so we will pass on that, and I will just ramble on myself. So it was a good time, though. Bob, I'm sure, was there checking it out. It was a great run by them. And there we see Bob actually with Darryl Strawberry. Bob, where was that? Wilton, huh? So Mr. Straw that stirs the drink, Darryl Strawberry, came to town, and Bob was there getting autographs. And Darryl's a great guy, as you Met fans all know. And there we see Darryl with Bob's dad, Bob Sr., making an appearance up there at the signings autograph session that Darryl Strawberry did. So it was great for Darryl to get those photos going. And nice to see your dad there. Hope he's doing well. We know he has had some problems as of late, but it sounds like and looks like he's doing okay. All right, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty because we got plenty to talk about. It's almost September, which means we're gearing up for the stretch run here in the pennant race time in the MLB. first before we get to the pennant race, because unfortunately the Red Sox are not in the playoff mix, but they did make some big news last weekend, and we got to get to what has taken place here with the Red Sox. And I think all signs point to, first of all, the Red Sox keeping manager Bobby Valentine. I know since day one there's been plenty of Red Sox fans, the media jumping on board saying we didn't want Bobby to begin with, we still wanted Tito, and then some of the players joined in. They called a secret meeting, or maybe they didn't, who knows, with these unnamed source articles that Yahoo Sports reporters like to print, even though they have no sources that they can actually get a real quote from saying what really happened in that behind closed door meeting. But they named Pedroia, they named Adrian Gonzalez as guys who said they couldn't play for Bobby V, and they went all against Bobby V. It was a mutiny about to happen. But a funny thing happened on the way to the ballpark. Instead of firing the manager, which would have been ridiculous, we'll get more into that, they ended up firing the players. Finally, at long last, Josh Beckett, who had long since worn out his weapon, or his time here in Boston, he gets jettisoned out. Carl Crawford, who showed up last year and began his 7-year contract by being a complete dud. This year injured, he comes back and they are able to jettison him out. And then Adrian Gonzalez, he gone to LA as well with the big hefty contract. They send him back to the West Coast where he was comfortable playing for San Diego. Not so comfortable here in Beantown. Never seemed stable. Didn't come up with any real big hits. Sure, he had the .330 batting average last year. This year he started off cold. He got very hot in the month of July. It was not adding up to victories, however, because in the clutch he did not seem to be able to get it done. And Beckett, we know, who was the head man in the chicken and beer fiasco that was behind the collapse last year in September, the September swoon, one of the record-setting collapses of all time in MLB history. Beckett was the front man, and he just seemed to be a guy who, was above it all. He was not happy here. It seemed like, in his comments leaving, he pinned it on the media. And, he does have a point, because the media in Boston has had a long history going all the way back to Teddy Baseball. If you look at it, Teddy Baseball, who was not one to be shy about talking, he would talk baseball until he was blue in the face. He would talk fishing until you stopped him. He would give you war stories if you let him keep going, but he would not talk to the media all the way back in the 40s and 50s. So this is something that's happened with the media in Boston, especially baseball players, for a long time. They get on them and they eventually run them out, and they ran Beckett out of town, whether rightly so or not. The bottom line is he did not perform. And it was Theo Epstein, who has been getting a pass, and Bobby Valentine, who's been taking a lot of blunt of the blame here this season as they have continued to falter. Theo was the man who gave Beckett an extension, 4 years, tons of money, when Beckett was coming off an injury-plagued season in 2008 when he came up lame against the Rays in the postseason. It was a big question mark what was going on, and they gave him a big contract extension. Granted, Beckett last year pitched well during the regular season, but he did come up with an injury late in the year, and he faltered as the Red Sox faltered down the stretch. It seems as though he's been a bad influence on John Lester. Lester has been horrible this year, although lately he's been pitching better. But he still hasn't been able to catapult them into a pennant race as they continue to struggle. I mean, their record at home is just horrible. They cannot play 32 and 38 baseball at home and expect the fans to be behind them when Lester and Beckett are the 1-2 punch in this rotation, and they're not getting it done. So somebody had to go, and it was Beckett. He had to go, and Crawford, Crawdaddy, who came here, from the Rays, and everybody was all thrilled to get him. People might have been a little bit more thrilled if Theo just kept Adrian Beltre, who has been playing great in Texas. The Rangers, oh, by the way, best record in the American League. Adrian Beltre is one of the guys who got it done. Victor Martinez was here, if you remember, and he helped lead the Tigers past the Yankees in the first round of the playoffs last year, and they were close to making to the World Series with the help of Victor Martinez. Martinez is out this year, but, it would have been been nice maybe if Theo just locked those guys up, Vimar and Beltre, instead of going out and getting unproven guys who we didn't know if they could handle the Boston market. Crawdaddy, after his first 2 games last year, and all you Tito fans, don't forget that Tito went all panicky after 2 games and dropped him from number 2 in the lineup to number 7, which set the tone for a bad season for Crawford, where he never got comfortable. He was pressing the whole time, and they said, what's the deal, as my man Bob comes sneaking into the studio. He's got to get on the mic. What do you think about all this, Bob? Tell me what you think about them blowing up the situation here with the Red Sox and the, blowing up this team, which I personally am all for.
Well, that's a very good question. I don't know where to start.
Bob, what do you have to say about it? I mean, I'm perfectly for it. I've been a Valentine guy the whole time. I think he's been getting slighted. I mean, they had 27 guys on the disabled list now this year.
Right.
They've had 36 players that they've used in the roster. So I mean, he's been dealing with injuries. He's been dealing with underperforming Lester, underperforming Beckett, who goes golfing after he has an injury and he has to miss an outing, and they find out he's out golfing when he had to skip an outing. So, it's been a problem. I mean, I'm not sure what you thought about this big trade, which was one of the biggest in the history of MLB this late in the season. It's going to help the Dodgers.
It was something to see that happen. I mean, who would ever think that, them guys going to go to a team that's going to make the playoffs? And,
maybe. The Dodgers are still trying. They are, not secure. They're 3.5 out behind the Giants, and they are 1.5 out in the wild card. So they are not a sure thing. But getting Adrian Gonzalez, who is a great hitter, I just didn't see him fitting in Boston. I don't think he had the grit, much like Beltre and Victor Martinez proved that they did.
Right.
That's why I think it was questionable that they, why get rid of these guys when they proved they could handle Boston. The fans like that kind of down and dirty, emotional player.
Oh, yeah.
They don't like those button-up, no-emotion guys like Adrian Gonzalez, Carl Crawford, who obviously couldn't handle it. So I think it was a big deal. I mean, the Red Sox right now, if they don't re-up, which they will re-up some of these guys who are under contract, who are restricted free agents, they will be at $50 million payroll next year. So they're going to be able to make some moves in the offseason and try to bring in more gritty guys.
Right.
I think this looks good for bringing Ortiz back, even though he has missed now 38 games or so, as he went down with the Achilles injury. It was a big deal for them to rid themselves of these contracts, though, most notably Crawford. I mean, the Dodgers are now on the hook for 5 more years with Crawford, who's, by the way, just underwent Tommy John surgery.
Right.
So we do not even know how he's going to respond to that. It's just been a disgrace of a season, really. 62-68, the Red Sox are right now. And, it's just been brutal. And meanwhile, if we shift gears, we only got 15 minutes left.
By the way, Mike Tui's in the studio.
Oh, is that how this happened?
Yes.
I thought maybe Candy jumped on board. Tui arrived, thanks. Lo and behold, Tui is here running things. So we do have Bob on microphone behind the camera where he belongs, thanks to Mike Tui and his expose cinema guy. He's here. We had a lot of things going on today in the studio.
This was a...
Not the way we wanted to break back into our all the things that have been going on, keeping us away this summer.
Yeah.
But he's here. All right, so we're running things maybe normally. We'll get some of the photos in as Mike is doing single duty out there, so it's a tough deal. But we are happy he made it. All right, let's look at some of the standings, though, Bob. The Yankees now losers of 2 of 3 to the Blue Jays, who came in losing 7 straight, and I believe 9 straight in New York. They take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, including a big rally in Game 1 against Soriano, who is not Mariano. He's starting to leak some gas as this season goes on. He's been pretty good closing. He's only blown 3 saves so far, but he's starting to blow them late in the year now. And things are getting dicey as injuries are starting to add up. And the Yankees now prepare themselves for 10 days where they play 7 times 3 at home against the Orioles, 4 on the road, and they get 3 against the Rays sandwiched in between. And the Orioles, it looked like the Rays were the team that was going to be making the run as they pulled to within 3.5 recently. Yeah. But now the Rays are back to 4 out, and the O's, who will not go away, Bucks Birds, keep on chirping, and they come in 3 games out, and they went and picked up Joe Saunders, a nice little pitcher to add to their deal. So they're making some moves, and they're just hanging around, Bob.
They're going to hang for a
71
while.
and 72 and 58 because they won today, as a matter of fact, winning again. So the O's come in with the Yankees reeling. A-Rod is taking batting practice. We saw him last week throwing the football. We thought maybe he was trying to get a spot, be the new QB for the Jets, because they seem to be having their problems. We'll get to that, maybe. We'll do a lot of football next week.
Yeah.
We'll touch on the football just a little bit. So the Yankees struggling back down. They're still 20 games over 500, but, you know, about a month or so ago, it looked like they were going to run away with things, and now things continue to get tight. Teixeira's out for a while now with a strained calf after he came back from the injured wrist, so he's got multiple injuries he's dealing with. We know Andy Pettit is not game ready yet. He's just starting to throw off flat ground, but things are shaky at best with him returning. The rotation doesn't look good. Nova is out right now with a hamstring, and he hasn't been pitching well at all.
CC came back, but it doesn't look like he's...
CC got beat up in his second game back against Blue Jays the other night, which led to the blown save. So they're not looking good at all. Robinson Cano's not hitting at all. So they got some big problems. Looking around the rest of the standings, it's still the Chi Sox, the Windy City Boys, holding on 2.5 games ahead of the Tigers, who continued to be an enigma wrapped inside a riddle.
Yeah.
What are they doing at 69 and 60? They are 2.5 games out of the wild card. It is the A's, Oakland, the Bay City Boys still getting it done. They are even with Baltimore for the 1 and 2 wild card spot. The Rays are 1 game behind them. The Tigers 2.5 behind not only the Chi Sox, but also behind the A's and the O's for that playoff spot. And the Angels, who it looked like they had gotten their act together, now they're struggling. They're 9 games behind the Rangers and 4 out of the wild card.
Been doing
I mean, the Rangers are, you know, they had a little blip on the radar, it seemed like, for a little bit, but they got it going. The only problem with the A's is they had Bartolo Colon get shut down, 50-game suspension.
Yes.
The clone, who was being cloned last year to pitch for the Yankees with some, who knows what they were doing with his blood spinning. Well, this year he comes up and he gets tabbed. Second guy from the Bay Area, the Milkman, Melky Cabrera, went down for the Giants. And how about this, Bob?
Okay.
The Giants, 73 and 57, right?
Yes.
Melky Cabrera, possibly an MVP candidate.
Now 50 games out.
50-game suspension rate. But here's the thing. Melky Cabrera was the MVP of the All-Star game, which the National League won.
Right.
And the National League then gets home field advantage in the World Series, based, you know, in some part due to the MVP performance of the steroid-using Melky Cabrera.
Right.
So this is what's going on in the MLB. Last year, it's the guy from Milwaukee, Ryan Braun, who we haven't heard anything from him this year. He tests positive. He gets off on a, snafu with his test, so he didn't have to serve the suspension, but he was obviously juiced up, and he's the MVP of the NL last year. So, he's knocking teams out of the postseason last year with his performance. This year, Melky sets the National League up to be the, home field advantage in the World Series, and he's all juiced up.
Right.
And he's helping the Giants run out to a, lead against the Dodgers here in first place. Now, he's been out for 2-3 weeks now, and the Giants are still playing well. So give them credit for overcoming that. And they hold a 3.5-game lead against the Dodgers, who have been making big splashes, getting Hanley Ramirez, Hanram, Josh Beckett, Crawford, who can't play, and Nick Punto, also from the Red Sox. So the Dodgers are doing what they can to stay in it, but they do find themselves a 1.5 games behind the Braves. And look out, the Redbirds have pulled into that wild card spot. and they are looking to move ahead of the Pirates, the Buccos, one game out. The Pirates still holding on to hope that they can end this. How many years it's been?
Oh, since what, 1909 or 1907? Somewhere
So, well, late 70s at least, but actually early 90s, if you remember. Your boy Bobby Bonilla and Barry Bananas Bonds, U.S. Bonds, with Jim Leland at the helm there. Andy Van Slyke, was it?
Yes.
In the outfield. That was a good team.
Yeah.
They didn't get to the World Series, but that was the last time they were above 500 and in the playoffs. So the Pirates are looking to break the drought. The Redbirds, defending champs, and Carlos Beltran getting it done for them. How the Mets doing, Bob?
Hey, we're only 17 and a half games out of first.
The Mets
we're only 13 and a half
fighting
out from,
for pride and looking to finish third place is their mantra right now, as they lost today 3-2 in Philly. But hey, they took 7 out of 9 from Philly this year, Bob, in Philadelphia, and they're 10-5 overall against the Phillies. So,
hey,
small victories.
We might be the only team to have a 20-game winner with a losing ball club.
R.A. Dickey could be the Cy Young. We'll find out about that. So, a lot going on with baseball. What do you think about the Yankees and their situation right now, Bob? You think they're going to fall all the way out?
No, I mean they're still in it, but I mean if things don't pick up within the next couple of weeks,
it's going to be tough. I'm looking forward to seeing Bucks Birds keep on chirping. The next 10 days are going to be
like I said,
crucial.
Beginning of the season. I love to see an all Washington World Series.
That DC loop, as the Nationals still 78-51. They've got their lead over the Braves, doing well there, so not too much problems. 4 games out, the Braves are. We mentioned the Reds have the best record in all of baseball, 80-52. The Cards are behind them, really not in contention. 7 games out behind them, and the Pirates, they're more involved with that wild card. The Giants and the Dodgers, 3.5 games. We'll see what this trade does to that race. All right, let's talk about
a little football,
college football, real quick, because it kicks off tonight. UConn renews its long rivalry with UMass, Bob. How about this?
It's been a long time.
Well, 1999 was the last time they played, but they started this rivalry way back in 1897. They've met 71 times during those years, about a 102-year run there where they played each other 71 times. UMass holds the edge, 36-33-2. They have not played each other since '99. Of course, UConn moved to Division I in 2002, and UMass now makes the leap to Division I. So they are playing again as they're trying to get this New England thing back up and running. We know UConn and Boston College do not play anymore since BC jumped ship in 2004. That was the last time a New England-based teams played each other, 2004. When those traders from Boston College jumped ship, went south to the ACC. How's that working out for you? Not so well. BC's not doing too good in the ACC. But interesting tonight, it's Pasqualini's second year at the helm, looking to improve on that 5-2 record. Since 2002, UConn has had the share of 2 Big East titles. They've been to 5 bowls. Remember, it was only 2 years ago that they went to the BCS Bowl. It seems like an eternity ago. They've got a transfer from Illinois. He played at Butler last year. Chandler Whitmer is the QB starting for UConn tonight. That game gets underway in about an hour, a little less than an hour probably. Yeah. So the UConn fans will be ready for that. They're picked 6 in the Big East. Some other college football things going on. USC is ranked number 1 to start. Bama, the defending champs, number 2. LSU, number 3. Oklahoma, Oregon, rounding out the top 5. Big Ten, I find this to be interesting. We know everything going on with Penn State.
Right.
But how about this? Penn State and Ohio State both ineligible heading into the season.
What happened with Ohio State?
They're still dealing with the fallout from their stuff that was going on. Urban Meyer begins his helm at Ohio State, but they are ineligible for postseason play. So 2 big daddies in the Big Ten not eligible. That I find to be interesting.
That's going to be a very big hurt.
I know, that's interesting. This weekend's game, Saturday night at Texas Stadium, Michigan, speaking of the Big Ten, faces Alabama, the defending champs. Jerry Jones plays there Saturday night, 8 o'clock. Friday night, how about this? Michigan State, Spartans coming off at least 2 seasons. I think it's 3 straight seasons where they've had 10 wins, right?
Right.
Sparty looking to be in the national title contention race. They play, the darling there, Boise State, Friday night. Boise State's ranked in the low 20s, about 24th, I think it is, so maybe they're not as good this year, but they like to prove people wrong. So it's going to be a big statement game for both those teams to start their season. Tonight, if you don't like the UConn game, you can watch South Carolina, Vanderbilt. Also a big game Saturday, Clemson-Auburn. That's an interesting matchup. I like that one. My boys, Colorado State with new head coach from Alabama, the offensive coordinator. It's a new era for the Rams once again. Jim McElwain taking over the helm. CSU with the Colorado Buffaloes, those trust fundalos, as I like to call them. They get it going Saturday, 4 o'clock. And if you want to wake up early Saturday, Bob, Notre Dame versus Navy live from Dublin, Ireland.
What time?
9 a.m.
Ooh.
That's a little thing to get you going on your Labor Day weekend Saturday. That's what's going on there. NFL preseason has been all but unwatchable.
Well, the game last night was terrible.
Have ruined everything, plus the schedule. How about this for a schedule, Bob? I mean, this is just totally ridiculous. The Patriots, they play their first game on a Thursday. They then have 10 days off. They play on a Monday against the Eagles. And then they got 4 games off to play on a Friday, another 4 games off to play on a Wednesday last night against the Giants. No wonder.
Last night was field goal night.
No wonder none of the starters have been playing. The schedule is ridiculous. The Jets, who played tonight against the Eagles, are looking for the first touchdown in preseason play. What do you think?
I don't think they'll get one. I think it's gonna be. I think they'll get a field goal.
How's that new offense working out for you? The whole Tebow mania thing going. No touchdowns at all in the preseason so far for the Jets. I think that is a concern. I don't put much stock in preseason play, but you got to look a little bit okay.
Well, look at last night. Last night's game was.
They don't have a defensive touchdown, a special teams touchdown, a regular touchdown. Last night's game was.
I tuned in at the fourth quarter.
Eli played for the Giants last night for a couple of possessions. They couldn't get anything going. Brady was out again. He's only played, a couple of series, so it's going to be interesting. Wednesday night, of course, it's your Giants defending champs against the Cowboys. We'll see how it goes.
This is the craziest. Thursday, why start it on a Wednesday? I mean, we always had Monday Night Football.
It's a Democratic convention, Bob. It's a Democratic convention. They can't do their Thursday night kickoff. They had to accommodate the speech by President Barack Obama. So they have to play on Wednesday this week. All right, so that's it. We made it through this show. We hope to be back on a regular schedule for all our fans. We know you missed us all summer long as we were sporadic with all the things happening. But thanks for tuning back in. We'll get back to basics, and it'll be all NFL next week as we get ready for the season. So enjoy your Labor Day. We will see you then.